So if we put the word Gentiles there instead of nations every time this has appeared so far, things would be very confusing. Could you imagine if Genesis 10:31 said, "These are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their Gentiles"? That would sound confusing. If it said that these are the generations after Noah and their Gentiles, by these were the Gentiles divided in the earth. See, it would be confusing, because that word Gentile is kind of confusing, because we've got to remember that just because it says it in the King James, it's not what it says in the Hebrew, okay? We got to keep that in our focus, all right? It was one word. All right, now let's look at Abraham, because the truth about Abraham, if we look at Abraham's life, we're going to see the word Goyim used with Abraham several times. We're going to start with Genesis chapter 12, verse 2. This is Yahuwah, the Almighty, speaking to Abraham. And he says, "And I will make of thee a great nation," 1471 Goyim, "and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing." All right, now in Genesis 17, we're going to read verses 4 through 6. Genesis 4 through 6 in chapter 17, "As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations." Goyim 1471. Verse 5, "Neither shalt thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations I have made thee." The word nations again is Goyim. And verse 6, "And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations," Goyim, "of thee, and kings shall come out of thee." Now let's skip to verse 16. This is used 4 times within this one chapter, speaking directly to Abraham now. "And I will bless her," speaking of Abraham's wife, "and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she will be a mother of nations." That's Goyim. "Kings of people shall be of her." So it doesn't seem that Abraham's descendants, if the word meant Gentiles the way that we understand it with our Greek mentality, how could Gentiles come from Abraham, of his loins? Okay? Doesn't really make sense unless we accept that word to mean nations. So if we can come to the agreement, again, for those of you who are using it as some racist word, the word Goyim, you need to watch yourself. It's not the way it's used in context of Scripture. You need to study these things out. Show yourself approved as a diligent searcher of the word of Yahuwah, especially if you're going to be preaching these things. And Genesis 18:18, "Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great nation," a great and mighty nation, excuse me. But the word is Goyim. I'm not pulling any kind of tricks here. This, like, again, I've provided the link. If you are listening to me now and this is making you angry, you need to just go check out the link. Prove me wrong, because I'm not trying to prove anything but the truth. Okay, I don't have an agenda with this. All right? "And the nations," 1471, "of the earth shall be blessed in him." Now see, you see the distinguishing, okay? Because it could say a mighty Gentile, and all the Gentiles of the earth shall be blessed in him, right? And but that's not what the word Gentile means. See, what I'm saying is, he puts a distinguishing there when he uses that word Goyim twice in Hebrew, and you look at it, and he says, "I'll make thee a mighty nation, and all the nations, Goyim, of Haaretz, the earth." See, he's talking about they will be blessed in him. I mean, he does put distinction between his people and other people by using Goyim. Several times in Scripture, we see the Israelites speaking about nations, and they'll say Goyim. And it'll be translated sometimes heathen, sometimes Gentiles, sometimes people and nations and things like that. But it makes you think that these words, it's almost like we can just put whatever, whichever one of those you want to pit, however it fits. But really, as I said, this is one word, and it's got to mean the same thing throughout all of Scripture. Okay, so let's go to, before we go there, again, 18:18 says he would be a great nation, and nations of all the earth be blessed in him. We go to Strong's Hebrew 5680 to look up the word Hebrew. The word Hebrew coming from the word Ibri, as some say. Others I've heard say Abrahu or Abraya. If we look at it, it occurs 34 times in the Old Testament in 32 different verses. Okay, so the word Hebrew doesn't appear a whole lot. But I want to show you the first time it appears, for those of you who think that the word Goyim is used to represent one group of people. Again, we just showed that it was, the father made a covenant with Abraham. When he changed his name, that said that he would be a father of many Goyim. So we know that it can't have any kind of racial thing, that it seems to mean multitudes of peoples. Okay, but we're going to see this word this word Hebrew is used first with Abraham in Genesis chapter 12 verse 1. Now Yahuwah had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show you. Okay, we know that he left Ur of the Chaldees, which was around the province of Babylon, which is prophetic if you look at it in context with Revelation. Many of you already know what I'm talking about. And he comes out of Babylon, and we first see the word Hebrew used in Genesis chapter 14 verse 13. And it's used by another person for Abraham. This is what's being said. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. Okay? And we see the word Hebrew, if we look it up in the Strong's Concordance, it means one from far away, or one who has crossed over. Now he's in the plains of Mamre. He is not in Ur of the Chaldees. He has made a trip from Ur of the Chaldees to the plains of Mamre, and now they are calling him a Hebrew because he is one from far away. All right? So I just wanted to find the words for you because this is the way it's used. Now later, yes, the people were called Hebrews because they came from Abraham, okay? But that's how Abraham got that title. So that's what it means, and that's the way it should be looked at in Scripture. Now, back to the word Goyim. All right, we showed how it was used with Abraham. We know that Abraham came from Ur of the Chaldees, which was in one of the provinces that we know these people were called Goyim, according to all the sons of Noah being, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, how they all were divided into Goyim, which doesn't mean anything but nations. Okay, and he was in one of these nations, and he came out, and he listened to Yahuwah's voice, he hearkened to Yahuwah's word, and he became the first Hebrew by coming out of Babylon. Okay, so that's the picture of coming out of Babylon and becoming a Hebrew. All right, now in Genesis 25 verse 23, we're going to see another instance. Now this instance is used with Isaac and Rebekah for their sons Jacob and Esau. And Yahuwah said unto her, Two nations, Goyim, 1471, are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Okay? So he said, this is Yahuwah speaking. Yahuwah said to her, there are two Goyim within your bowels. Okay, so he calls even Jacob a Goyim, a nation. All right? And Esau became a nation. Makes sense in the context of Scripture. But could you imagine, it's the same word that they translated Gentile. Could you imagine if he said, two Gentiles are in your stomach? That would have been confusing, you see. You see why that word Gentiles is been abstracted? You see what I'm saying in the context of Scripture? All right, now let's look at, now there are those who say that, okay, that word Goyim, we use it for everybody other than Israel, Yisrael. Okay? Now let's look at Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. And this is the Almighty Yahuwah speaking. He says, And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. Goy, 1471. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So, okay, let's also remember this word was also translated heathen. 1471, the word goy. Now, it makes sense that they translated it nation here because they were going to be a holy nation. And we've established that's what it seems that this word should mean. But could you imagine if the King James translators decided to have translated that word heathen? Thou shalt be unto me a holy heathen. That doesn't make sense. It almost seems like the word goy couldn't mean heathen. I want you to think on that one.